On June 28th of 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria made a trip to Sarajevo to prepare for the planned annexation of Bosnia and Herzegovina. This annexation was controversial, particularly among Serbian nationalists, who believed that the territory rightfully belonged to Serbia. So, on the news of the Archduke's visit, a Serbian secret military society called the Black Hand begins to plot his assassination. As the story is often told, the first assassination attempt was a failure, with the bomb missing its target and Franz Ferdinand's motorcade scrambling for safety. Thinking they blew their chance, one of the young assassins, Gavrillo Princep, goes to a restaurant to get something to eat while he plans his next move. He takes a bite from his sandwich, looks up, and boom! Right in front of him is Franz Ferdinand, his car stalled. So he takes out his gun, fires, and sets off the series of events that would eventually lead to World War I. It all seems so coincidental, doesn't it? But what if I told you that there are no coincidences? That this series of events was guided by some sort of invisible force? The hand of destiny, moving history along the path that it must follow. No, I'm not talking about the concept of fate. I'm talking about a magical furry with wings. Find out what really happened in this episode of Hardcore History. Also on the trigger. And I know what you're thinking. Is this Gavrillo Princep's fursona? I just had to find out what's going on here. I know it's pretty telling about the world we live in that you can see all kinds of furry artwork. Voring each other. Blowing each other up like balloons, and you're just like, oh yeah, well that's what they do. But a furry starting World War I, that's crazy, I gotta see what's going on here. And at first, most of the posts about it that I came across, aside from, obviously people laughing at it, mostly revolved around people pointing out the historical inaccuracies of it. Besides the presence of an invisible winged furry. Inaccuracies in this abomination of an image include: the assassination occurred on a busy street, not in a void. Franz Ferdinand was being chauffeured and was in the back with his wife Sophie. The car had a pretty hefty police escort due to Princep's friends attempting to assassinate the Archduke with car bombs earlier. I hope somebody got fired for that blunder. Franz wasn't the driver, and the assassin had a sandwich. For anyone questioning the sandwich part, it's absolutely true. Well, actually, the Smithsonian disagrees. No source before 2003 mentions a sandwich. The assassination occurred at 10:55, too early for lunch, and sandwiches weren't/aren't typical Serbian food. It would be a burek or a plečkavečka. Which, by the way, I'm sure I pronounced it wrong. Those plečkavečkas, highly recommend. Also, the idea that it was a coincidence from a wrong turn is incorrect. The delicatessen was already on the Archduke's original route, so Princep was already ready to intercept him. It was just made easier by the turn, and there's one source between 2003, which is a Brazilian novel, so not really. Leave it to furry artwork to expose the lies they taught us about history. Although most of the threads that I found about this piece of artwork were mostly like this, there were a few crumbs that would pop up from time to time and pique my interest. In particular, another drawing featuring the same character. This time, he's knocking an apple down onto Sir Isaac Newton's head, thereby causing the discovery of gravity. So clearly this wasn't Gavrillo Princep's fursona, but rather some furry that's for some reason guiding the course of human history through key events. Kinda like some sort of Forrest Gump. Searching along this path led me to more images of this furry, as well as increasingly bizarre claims about its creator. Particularly people saying that he truly believes himself to be some kind of chaotic god that's represented by this character. And he believes that he alone has the power to control time and space. The origin story of the furry that caused World War I. Makes allusions to some of the other events he was involved in. The Great Fire of Rome, bribing Judas with 30 pieces of silver, causing the discovery of penicillin, and he elaborates on the character's motivations. Those who know Eus the New are aware that he's neither good nor evil, he just is, and he is brilliant, so very clever, but he gets bored easily, so he always ends up playing with the universe like it's a huge, indescribable toy. I'm not quite sure what's going on in this image. It's a historical event. The conflict that came to be known as World War I started up. I'm familiar with the assassination. I'm not sure why there's a winged wolf with yin-yang symbols on his wings and a crown on his head. Oh, and you guessed it, once again, the glorious return of the sandwich discourse. There are also some really impassioned nitpicks posted. Stuff like, well, actually, Sir Isaac Newton didn't really discover gravity after an apple fell on his head. That was a myth, and it took years and years of study to develop the theory. And actually, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand was just one of many events that led to World War I. If you have a godlike character who enjoys influencing history, simply making famous events happen doesn't show him as clever or as intelligent. It's just basically like you saying, oh hey, look, he did that, and that too. Does a god like being really think so small? Was he just like supposed to commission a drawing of Isaac Newton writing down equations while Eosdenu holds his hand or something? People know the Apple story. How is he supposed to convey years of global political tension through a single drawing? All the nuance of the relationship between Serbia and Russia. I think this line of thinking is why we get so many people who try to make memes that are just big walls of text with no joke. Because they don't really get the concept of conveying ideas with simple, easily understood imagery. But the most interesting and really perplexing reaction to it was that it somehow managed to cause all kinds of moral outrage. If I read all of it, this video would be hours long, so I'll just boil it down to some of the highlights. Someone has a hard-on for a war that killed millions. You assume I commissioned this for sexual pleasure? My character is a deity with powers over space and time, and he enjoys shaping history as you know it. He is neither good nor evil. He is just as likely to cause war that will kill millions as he is to inspire a scientific breakthrough that will save millions, or probably do both. To put it another way, would you still defend the image if I depicted your character inspiring Hitler's Third Reich? Or the birth of Jesus Christ? Or the shooting of Trayvon Martin? Or the courage of Rosa Parks? If so, why are these necessary when fictional analogs would do just as well without the problematic and distracting baggage? If not, why is this particular instance okay? I mean, maybe if he did portray that, it would be a problem, but he doesn't portray any of these things. I mean, maybe if he made a drawing of his character driving the train to Auschwitz, maybe, yeah, I could see, alright, maybe you shouldn't do that. Celebrate